Welcome to the Divorce Dad Playbook podcast. Hello, Scott. I'm your brother, Dan.
Hello there, Dan. Older
I am
brother
in
Scott here.
I am in a weird mood. I have not had much sleep, and we are not going
boy.
to talk about why, because people listen to the show. And what I have learned, Scott, is that people who I hang out with sometimes listen to the show. And I knew that this would happen, and I'm smiling because the only thing you can do is just hope that people are confident enough in themselves or forgiving enough when you say shitty things about them inadvertently that they still want to hang out with you or they don't want to sue you. It's a very interesting process, this whole like talking about your relationships while they're going on. It's weird.
Yeah. So it's funny that you just said you don't want to talk about why you're tired, and then you just spent like a minute talking about
Oh boy, I didn't
all
talk
the
about
reasons,
why.
all the reasons why.
I loosely may have mentioned that I am tired, but trust me, you are not going to learn why.
You left a lot, or not a lot, to the imagination of the listener.
Oh, I left a lot to the imagination, but this ties in to our theme song for the day. If you get this, I will pay you $1 million.
You don't have $1 million, but that's okay.
Well, that's very loud.
AC.
That's not the song. Here it comes. You ready? Do you know what
Well,
this
so
is?
far it's just bass. I can't hear anything yet.
I'm going like slow jams on you, like time and time again now.
Oh, what is this? Are you going to sing in a really deep voice?
Oh God, I am not singing this song.
I don't know what this song is.
All right, we're gonna leave it going because it kicks in a little bit here. I will say this: this is the bass line. It's the what do you call it? Not acapella. What's that thing you do? Karaoke version of Cardi B's WAP.
Oh.
Lyrics that I will not be sharing with the audience, but it's pretty cool. So it's like a slower version.
You really love Cardi B.
That was good timing. Had a little drop there. I don't love Cardi B. What I love about Cardi B is that she does not give a bleep about anything, and she will say anything and mean it. And I respect the hell out of that. I don't love her as a rapper. I don't think she's like good, but as a human, this woman's fascinating to me and incredible. And the reason we went with WAP is to call back to an earlier episode or two, actually, where we did the Cardi B or Tinder. We've had that available for a while for members of the site, for people who go into the actual playbook part when they log in, become members. But now we spent a lot of time this weekend, which was sort of the plan of ramping up the blog site, which is open to everyone. So now it's not just the podcast is the only way to get in and see what we're doing. It's and we'll throw it up on the site if you're on YouTube. I mean, obviously, just people remember this. It's divorcedadplaybook.com/blog. Not hard to remember. If you can't remember that and you go to just the main site on the top right, it just says read the blog. And you'll see stuff that is in the playbook, but stuff that's even not. Some of the stuff that we're just adding, like more fun, hilarious things. And so we spent a lot of time over this last couple of days just sort of planning out some of the stuff we're putting on there. But one of them is anyone can take the quiz, 16 lyrics or quotes, and you have to decide, are they Cardi B lyrics or are they actual Tinder profiles? And let me tell you, I just had somebody take that. I got 16 out of 16, and I was really not remembering something. Like there's really close. I just had somebody take it and got 13 out of 16, which is very good. But about halfway through, they said, wait a minute, are all of these Cardi B lyrics and you're just screwing with me? That's how good these quotes are. Like, that's how good people's Tinder profiles are.
Yeah. I told you that I had Luke take it, which was just funny. What was the difference? He knows who Cardi B is. So Luke took it and he got, what did I say? He got an 11. Yeah.
Not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah, considering
for never having seen a Tinder bio, I would hope that's not bad.
No, he has not. He cracks up about every single bio, though.
Which
hilarious. Rightfully so. He should. They're absolutely hilarious.
We talked about this on the last episode, how Tinder like vomited their algorithm up this past week, and how like people who you matched with like 4 or 5 months ago came back into your life. It's fascinating to get messages from people who you have potentially wronged, or at least think you've wronged, is really interesting. And it goes to the topic that I want to talk about today when it comes to sort of the motivation of things and why we do what we do. For people who are maybe new to the site and haven't gone back to the beginning, you should. There's a sort of natural progression with us. People ask me all the time, what episode should I listen to? And I'm like, you should listen to the first one, and then the second one, and then the third one, and then you'll catch up eventually. But what episode do you tell people that they should listen to? Because it is a window into our lives, and a window into what we're doing, and a window into how we're trying to help people who are in similar situations to us, right? The community that we're trying to build and be a part of, frankly, we're not insulating ourselves, is not just starting at episode 1 and moving on. Like, so people are going to come in and out. So what episode have you been telling people to go back and listen to?
So this isn't scientific at all. I agree that if you start from the beginning, it's more interesting and engaging, and you can kind of follow the path. And as we continue to get a wider audience, I think that's important. But based on the feedback and just the numbers, it seems like episode 5 is really popular.
Yeah. And we're going to have Nicole back on. Nicole and Ananda, it's the site. The episode is called Let's Talk About Sex, because that is what we do. Yeah, she's a firecracker. We're going to have, and as you know, Scott, we talked about this, the episode that she was on. You might want to be careful how often we have Nicole on, because at some point it's going to be the Divorced Dad and Mom podcast with Dan Levy and Nicole Ananda, and you're just going to be the guy who, pays us millions of dollars to talk, because she's kicking your ass out.
I don't know that I'm paying anyone millions of dollars, but I'm more than happy to just ultimately take a backseat to the podcast and just actually run the site and things like that.
Oh my God, this is breaking news, people. Dun, dun, dun. I don't have it queued up. So, so episode 5 is great. That's she was actually our first guest that we had on the show. We've had a bunch more since then. I want to get to that in another second. I tell people episode 4, which is the one that we've clipped up the most, I think, of the two of us, which is so she wasn't a prostitute, she was homeless.
Oh yeah, that one's hilarious.
Yeah, people seem to really like that one.
Yeah.
As I said to people, episode 4 is the one you're going to share with your friends. Episode 9 is the one you're going to share with your family. That was the episode after my last appointment with my therapist. And that was, that was personal to me and maybe not pertinent to other people. Although what I've learned, and this is where I want to go to some feedback, Scott, what I've learned is more pertinent than maybe I even knew. In terms of the feedback that I've gotten, that people have listened to the show from episode 1 and have really connected with stuff. You kept telling me that my story is very relatable, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Apparently it is, and people are going through a lot of this stuff. It's not just learning how to do this on your own. It's learning how to live in your own mind, learning how to deal with what's going on in your head when there's no one else around. Because when you struggle with depression, when you struggle with anxiety, when you have other mental maladies, for lack of a better term, and your kids are there every day at 3:00, you deal with your own from 8 a.m. to 3, and then you're a dad or you're a husband. But when they're not here those days or that weekend, like we talked about over the holiday weekend, when you don't have them for 3 days, that's a tough get. And so I am thankful for the people who have reached out to me personally and to both of us to talk about that is something that they're going through as well, and it's helped them. And even people like offering me, like, hey, if you ever want to talk to somebody, I'm like, dude, like I'm talking to you. But it's really nice to hear people be like, hey, if you need someone to talk to, I'm like, this thing is what I talk to.
Right.
But I actually might take people up on that for sure. Like I'm not being flippant about it. Like I absolutely might.
Yeah.
I think it's very helpful.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. You obviously are at a different place mentally, and it kind of comes and goes, I would say sometimes. But I do think that
I'm afraid to know what you mean by that, but keep going.
No, I'm saying like you have good days and bad days. Like, but what I'm saying is you've actually been diagnosed with
sure.
real stuff, and all I'm saying is that. You're relatable because going through this, to your point, the transitions when you don't have your kids, and the holidays, which again, there's another bigger holiday coming up, in a couple of weeks here. Those are even for the strongest of mentally strong people, it's really hard. It's really hard. I go through phases where I don't have the same issues that you do, but I do feel mentally challenged, and in a very different way. Yeah, in a very different way than you, obviously, but it's hard on me when I'm not around my
What?
kids, and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
one thing we haven't talked about, which maybe we can in a future episode with one of our guests who does this professionally, but the seasonal affective disorder is really
Yeah.
hitting a lot of people this year in particular because of the COVID stuff, because you can't be around your family. Like, it's bad enough when, I celebrated Christmas for 20 years. I'm Jewish, but when you marry someone who's not, and your kids celebrate all the holidays in the winter, it got to the point where the day I put the decorations up, I started to get depressed because I was already thinking about the day I had to take them down. And so that's like a fight all the time. But this year in particular, and I know there are a lot of people who are listening to this who are just like, I don't know if you're nodding along or shaking your head along, but this is tough, and probably tougher than any year that I can remember, especially for people who are going through this for the first or second year, because being alone around the holidays is really tough,
Yeah.
especially this year. And so for example, and let's just skip Christmas for 1 second, because we talked about that the other day. I texted a friend and I said, what are you doing for New Year's? Because I thought I had the kids. If I looked at the contract, the schedule is I have the kids on the even years, and on the odd years I have them on the first. Well, what I didn't remember is, because of scheduling, I get spring break, my ex gets winter break. So I don't have the kids on New Year's Eve. And I thought I did. For like weeks, I thought I did. I was all excited. We're going to do something cool. Now I have no plans. And so I'm texting my friends like, hey, are we doing something? And one friend
It's
was
not
like,
easy
I'm
to
going to
do
sit.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to sit on my couch with my cats. I'm like, is that an invite? I'm allergic to cats, but I'll still go. I'll sneeze my ass off so I don't have to sit here alone. Anyway.
Yeah. Seasonally for sure, and this year for sure is tough. Which again, not that we timed any of this, but the fact that we're about to talk about things on the site and everything. A lot of this that you may be going through, people that are listening, we are too, and we get it, and that's why we like to talk about it. Not that our situation is exactly the same as yours, but there are similarities to being alone during any part of the holidays. And my holidays, my Christmas was with my kids was spent with you
Right.
previously. So, and that's just not happening this year.
Yeah, for sure. And as we get closer to the holiday, we're going to have more shows. We can talk about some of the specifics, because I was, my situation is not unique to me of how to juggle who has the kids and what. So let's talk about it. I do want to talk. I got as I keep mentioning, I got a couple of emails or texts. I want to share two of them, if you don't mind. One of them, we talked about Nicole Ananda, who was on episode 5. I don't recall the episode number, but it was maybe the last episode, 2 episodes ago, whatever. Yeah, it was with Nicole Gray, who's the interior designer, who is also fat. We've the best Nicoles ever. Like, there's no Nicoles better than the Nicoles that we have. All due respect to the Masked Singer and whatnot. But get this. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was going through a very unique situation for her, in that she and her husband have been either officially divorced or have like filed divorce papers for like months, and they were still living in the same house. A lot of it had to do with childcare. A lot of it had to do with COVID. And so they were in the same house, and it got awkward, because you can't really date when you're living with your ex, who's not really your ex yet. I mean, you can, but like, you're not bringing somebody home. And then with afraid of cold, all that stuff. Anyway, point being, she was moving out this weekend, and we're filming this on a Monday. So it just happened. She's still moving out. And I sent her, I said, if you're looking for something to throw in your ears while you're, building furniture, listen to the show. And she said, what episode? And I said, I have the episode for you. And I sent her the interview that we did with Nicole Gray. And she wrote me back and said, I actually thought about you because I'm buying a West Elm bookcase today from someone on Marketplace. Thanks for the pro tip. He. And I wrote, thank Nicole, but it's nice to hear that you were thinking about me when you were, moving. It's a very stressful time and a very, upsetting time for someone. And we helped legitimately because I didn't even think of this, but Nicole was like, you know where to get furniture? Either go to IKEA and buy some cheap crap and put it together, or go onto Facebook Marketplace or some of these other sites and try and get good furniture that people don't need anymore for cheap. And that's what happened. I get another text asked yesterday morning, how are you settling in? I already did 3 Marketplace runs before 11 a.m. So thanks for the new addiction. That made me so happy.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, that's what we talk about, Scott. Like, we're going to save you money. Like that's a tangible way that we just saved one of our listeners money. And it's so cool to see, like, she got good shit for cheap because one of our experts told me something I would have never thought of on my own. And that's like your business model in a bow.
Yeah, that's that's great to hear. I think that's exactly right. I mean, there's so much more of that too. I'm glad that she took advantage of something that we just talked about. And I think one of the other things too, as she's really going through it, I think what's important for people to understand, and I got a lot of, I won't talk about, I know you have something else to talk about. I won't talk about a specific text, but I got
go
a
ahead,
few, I got a few people DMing me and texting me, and they all kind of said something similar, which I thought was very interesting. And I want to make sure people are clear about this. Is you and I talked about this. You go through different phases of this process. You don't have to just, which is why you and I are at different, ends of the spectrum a little bit.
People watching are smiling right now because this is exactly what I was going to talk about. So just keep going. I didn't even tell you.
Really
this is what I was going to talk about. So go ahead.
Go ahead. So you go through different phases, and a couple people reached out to me. They're like, I've been listening to the podcast. It's so great. God, I really wish I had this 2 or 3 years ago when I was going through this. And I reached back out to one of them and I said, what do you mean? You have it now. Like, I get it. Like, you wish you had you wish you had this from the beginning, but here I am, 8 years later, and
still divorced.
Still divorced, and still making mistakes every day, like still trying to figure it out. Like, I'm now at a different stage. I'm still trying to figure out how to deal with stuff with the kids and still like what to buy them and everything like that. So the fact of the matter is, don't let it be lost on you just because you think you've got it, just because you think you've been through the hardest part. There's plenty more ahead of you, and there's plenty more expenses that are ahead of you too, as you have kids and they grow up and they go to college and everything else that they got to come home. And I was even having a conversation with Jack about this yesterday. I was jokingly saying to him, we were watching a show, binging a show this weekend, and the kids kept coming home, like when they're in college. And I said to Jack, I was like, don't get any ideas, buddy. Like you don't have a home to come back to. And so he said to me, he was like,
that's a shitty thing to say. You don't have a home to come back
no.
to? My God.
I mean, after, he said that too. I mean, after college, I want him to be out on his own. Like figure it out. I did it, you got to go figure it out.
I did it.
And I wasn't saying only I did it and you didn't. I'm just saying
I was just sharing a moment with you. I wasn't saying that you're the only one. Hey, don't forget about me. I was saying it also happened with me.
Right. So my point was to Jack that after school, don't get any ideas that you should be coming back living at home. You should be out on your own, figuring it out. And so this part of being a, divorced dad, a single parent, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't stop. It doesn't even, it doesn't matter how old your kids get. You still have challenges and things that you haven't seen before, which is why this and the playbook is what we've created, because it's not just for people who are thinking about going through a divorce. It's for people who even more so have been through a divorce.
Right. We actually, so some of the stuff we worked on this weekend is pertinent to that, Scott. Like, and it's fun for me to go back and look at the stuff that we've already done, because we've been building this for months, and so I read some of the articles that we had done a while back and have been on the membership side of it to see, like, well, what's going to be a good fit for the blog, what's going to be fun and sticky and stuff, but also what's going to be informative to people. Like, we're not just trying to make money. Like, you're trying to legitimately help people. So there's stuff on the blog site for non-members that is very helpful, and so not the Cardi B thing perhaps, but like other stuff, like the other quiz I put on there of what your favorite fruit says about you as a parent. You did that quiz too. Let me just say, don't pick durian fruit, people. Just stay away from the stinky fruits. You will not like your answer. But I will say two things. One, Scott, I will offer this to Jack. I don't know if he's listening, but he can live with me after he's done college. He's paying rent, but he can live with me because I could probably use the roommate, honestly. Like and he could help with the kids. He could drive Max to, whatever Max does. I don't know. But yeah, so Jack, if you're listening, you can live with me because your dad is awful and will rather you be on the street than living with him after college. It's
so
a difficult
wrong.
time right now.
So wrong. And that's 4.5 years away. So
speaking of my kid, I have a very big fun announcement at the end of the show or toward the end of the show that I want to share with you. Very big and very awesome. But before we get to that,
it's a cliffhanger.
Well, yeah, it's not a cliffhanger. Cliffhanger would be if I said it at the end of the episode and then we talk about it in a subsequent episode. If I say it now and then I pay it off at the end of this episode, that's not a cliffhanger. No one's hanging out. I
don't want people speed in through the content we might be right in order to get to see what presumably Max has done.
By the way, I know you hate when I do this because you're like, more people listen to the podcast than watch it. I know. I get that. Like, more people listen to podcasts. So people are listening to us right now on any of the myriad of streaming services that we are a part of. I like to remind people that it's also a video show. You can watch us on our YouTube channel. You can go onto the site and watch us through there as well. My hair is enormously tall today, right? Isn't it? I've got like a Colin Jost thing going here, where it's like a huge wave. If I could manufacture this all the time, I woke up like this, by the way. Like, I woke up and I was like, damn, not doing my hair today. So how about that?
Colin Jost. I thought
not
maybe
Yost. He's not his last name is Jost, not Yost.
Jost. I don't know. Is he the one is he
married to Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah. So that's why I got the Yo from Johansson wrong. Combining their names.
Oh, it's Johansson. I was just messing with you, obviously.
No, what was the late night guy who used to be on NBC that went over? What was his name?
You don't know Conan O'Brien's name?
Conan
really?
O'Brien. That's
it's almost at a Conan O'Brien level height. Yeah, today it's definitely. Are you distracted? Is there some?
Yeah, Luke's got a break, so you can kind of see him in the corner of the background.
Can we switch? Can Luke just come and talk to me for a little bit, and you go do homework? Because I think I'd have more fun with that.
He's not doing homework. He's actually in school. I don't think that would work. Although Luke says hi to you, Uncle Dan.
Hi. So all right, let's get to what I wanted to talk about rather. Not just my hair. Anyway. By the way, for those who don't, I'm Dan at divorcedadplaybook.com. We talk about this a lot. You're Scott at divorcedadplaybook.com. It's very easy to find us on our site. You can follow the site Instagram or Facebook at Divorced Dad Playbook. And not just for dad who is listening, Scott, but if you do the little @ symbol and then type in Divorced Dad Playbook, it will link to us. So please, if you're going to comment about, even to me or Scott or whatever, put that. That's not just Twitter. I tried to explain, like, Twitter became so prevalent with the @ symbol that all the other social media places were like, screw it, we're just going to start doing that.
Right.
I had an argument with our father who was like, how do I link to the site on Facebook? I'm like, you put the @ symbol. He's like, that's Twitter. I said Facebook. He didn't really yell like that, but it sounded like that in my head. And I was like, no, you put the @ symbol. They all do that now. So if you're on there and you're old and listening to us, which, hello, probably, at least our parents, it's the @ symbol. The @ symbol, Divorced Dad Playbook.
Yes.
All right. So that pitch is over. Smooth transition to this. I got a comment from someone who actually has commented to us on Instagram. It pertains to, this is early on, one of the early episodes. And this is something that you said to me that she agrees with. And I hope she doesn't mind that I'm reading this, but I'm not going to say who she is, so it's fine. Chronic dating. That's what I called the year I spent dating after divorce. We had started with shared custody. My kids were with their dad 3 nights a week. I was on mostly first dates, at least 2 of those 3 nights. Like your brother says, it's a stage of dating that we all go through initially. though from what I've heard, it lasts longer for men than for women. And I wrote back, I'm going to talk about this on the show because that is something that you've said to me, what, 4 billion times since we started this?
Yes. It's true. It's extremely true. I love this part because
are you waiting for me to say something? Or you?
I didn't know if you're going to add some more color to it because usually you'll just interrupt me. See?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm just, I could take this into a million different directions. So why don't you guide me into what part of this you might want me to focus on? Because I do think that a lot of people, even though I like to talk more about the kids and, you know, what you're doing, we did start off the show by talking about the holidays and it's lonely and, you know, everything else. I think that dating is an important part of your next life. And, you know, so I have a ton of thoughts and I want to keep it focused.
Well, what I've learned is that if you talk about your dates on the site, they just won't date you anymore, or will date you. By the way, fun fact: if you talk about your family, they will threaten to sue you. So, which my kids have done like 400 times. So that's fun. I think they don't understand how litigation works, but nonetheless, you know,
that doesn't change as I get older either. Because Luke tells me he's going to sue me every single night.
Yeah. What is up? That's a whole other. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Let's not go down the rabbit hole of kids thinking that they can sue their parents.
What I want to say,
jokingly,
or seriously, what I want to say regarding that comment and regarding your comments, and this is really interesting to me, and I know that this has a lot to do with the personality things that I am dealing with, and the as I mentioned, mental maladies or whatever. So it's difficult for me to admit that I am like other people. Like that scares the shit out of me. The scariest thing in my life is being ordinary, being like anyone else. And so when you say this or she says this to me, like, oh, I went through that. Everyone goes through that. I reject that on like a cellular level. I am okay. I'm actually more than okay. I'm happy when we get emails from people who say, the story you told resonates with me because, you know, and I love that because that's why we're doing this. We're trying, it's not just me just talking to you about my life. It's trying to help people who are in similar situations to open that discussion. I love getting the feedback because people have given me, frankly, advice that I wouldn't have thought of, and you certainly wouldn't thought of because you're too busy making fun of me. But what I don't like is when you say, oh, everybody does that. Because it just marginalizes me and makes me reject that so much that I react in such a way that's like, oh, yeah? You think everyone does that? Well, here's what I'm going to go do. And then I make out with homeless women or some such.
Yeah. You need to not think that way because that's not what I'm saying at all. I don't think that's what anyone's saying to you, that everyone's like you. I don't think anyone's like you, actually. And I think that you have, and I think about this.
No, I'm like other everyone, people. That's what you're saying. It's a big difference.
I think this for every single person who's listening, that they're all unique and they all have unique experiences. Like, you know, women look at this and they've been divorced from a man, and whatever their experience was with that man, whether he was a great guy and it just didn't work out, or he cheated, or, you know, there's a myriad of experiences that somebody goes through. And when it comes to dating, the reality is, and this is not a bad thing, Dan, the reality is a lot of people do go through the same things. When you first get out of a relationship, especially if it's been a longer relationship and you have kids, you've missed out on a chunk of your life. And so similar, not the same, but similar to what you're doing, people who are newly separated and divorced will go out, and whether they're doing it to hook up, to party, or in some respects, the way that I did it, you know, back in the olden days, as you say, because I'm so old and I have such long experience with this. I
was going to ask, did internet dating exist back then? But I'm going to ask, did the internet exist back then?
Jesus. Come on now.
I'm not even joking, dude. I make the
internet, of course, the internet.
Obviously, Al Gore, the internet existed. But what I'm saying is like, I make the joke that part of the fun and frightening nature, for people who know, we might have said this on the show, my original dating profile ended with single for the first time in 20 years and terrified. because it was the truth. I had no idea what to expect. And it turns out that works. Apparently, people really like a terrified guy because they think they can like cure me or whatever. So I took that out.
Disarming.
Yeah, because I'm no longer terrified. But it is still fascinating. But the reason, because online dating didn't exist the last time I was single, right? So to my point, Scott, social media, I mean, Twitter existed 8 years ago or whatever in a different, but a lot of this stuff didn't exist in the way that it does now. Facebook certainly has been around for a long time. So it isn't the same.
Correct. Correct. I don't really remember, to be honest. I don't know that online dating did really exist. When I first got divorced, I mean, obviously the internet did and social media did, but not 100.
I love that you're so mad about that.
But well, it's just I'm not that much older than you, so in any case, I think again the similar experience to you is that whether I was getting dates online through dating sites or I was having people introduce me to other people, which was probably the way that I ended up doing it at first. I did some of the same things. I went out and I drank a lot, like, and I don't know if that was to have a good time or if it was to forget the nights that I just didn't have my kids and I was feeling lonely and afraid. And so those types of situations where I would go out and just do things I wouldn't normally do, I did it and I'm still here and I made it. And I feel like I did what I needed to do to get through the days and the nights sometimes. I think that's similar.
I have one comment to say about that.
Oh boy.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
Did you hear that? Was that
Hey, was that like a Sesame Street kind of Muppety reference?
really? Seriously, I was going to make a joke that like that was you on the recording. Oh, the internet is on computers now. That's Homer Simpson. You kidding me?
Homer Simpson. Okay.
You don't know this. I mean, Jesus.
I'm not obsessed with The Simpsons like you are.
I'm not obsessed. I just know things about pop culture. I'm just in the world. I exist in the zeitgeist, as people like to say.
Talk about old. The Simpsons have been around for like 30 years.
Yeah, still relevant. Still relevant. Did you hear about the mayor of Austin, Texas? Did you hear about that? Going to Mexico? Yeah, he went to Mexico and did a video of like, stay home, don't go out, blah, blah, blah. And then they was like a report. I forget who found it. Like one of the national things, figured out that he filmed that from vacation in Mexico. It was like a family wedding or something. And The Simpsons years ago had a same exact thing. There was like a flu and Mayor Quimby was like away on vacation and he had like Bermuda shorts on and his suit top and he filmed something of like, please don't go out in the, whatever. I'm not going to do the voice, but
Nice. You love your voices.
So, yeah, well, that one's not great. Except, that one's not great. I can do it though. I'll do it later. Maybe we'll do it later.
It's okay.
I want to get back. No, I mean, look, I digress enough. I want to talk about this again, because I think to your point, yes. This is getting a little heady, but how do I explain this in simple terms for you?
I love our Monday morning recordings.
The difference is the motivation behind an action is important. And so I've talked about this a lot and this is on the site. This is not, let's just use this as a plug. We say a lot, Scott, we are not experts in everything, right? But I feel like I am an expert in some things. And since we don't really talk about sports on this show or in our site, I've lost a lot of what I've been an expert in professionally for a long time. But I do feel like with my sort of mental health journey, one thing that I have really learned a lot about, whether I'm an expert or not, is for other people to decide, I guess, is mindfulness and is the whole concept of that. I was a noob, as Max would say, several years ago and had no idea what that meant. And it took a long time for me to really get a grasp of the whole concept of mindfulness as a way of life and not as a coping mechanism. And there are a lot of things, both on the blog and on the membership site, more certainly on the membership site, about ways to use mindfulness. One of the things, to use a Simpsons reference, if you go onto the blog, we use the Simpsons as the thing because Homer's like, oh, I'm the terrible dad or whatever. In one of the images that we have, it's 9 ways to not flip out at your kids And it's basically mindful tricks, mindful ways to do it. And there's simple things like one of them, which is my favorite one, is dad's got to poop. And for people who might be chuckling at that, that's a great way to get away from your kids for a minute. Like, everyone brings their phone in. Like, half the people right now are probably listening to this while they're in the bathroom. So hello, and do your business and enjoy it. But like, I mean, oh, don't even. You don't even. Look, let me tell you this. I will bet, I almost put this in my dating profile just to see if people respond to it. I would bet that 40% of all swipe rights are done on a toilet. I mean, that's anecdotal. I don't know the numbers, but I would bet at least 40%.
You are like Barney Stinson. You just make up numbers. It's so unscientific.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Everybody. So my point is, even if you don't have to use the bathroom, if your kids are being rambunctious or they're not listening, or you're just frustrated with the day and you don't want to take it out on your kids, a very mindful approach is to do some deep breathing, but get out of that spot, go somewhere else, and just take a couple of deep breaths or refocus, or you know what, go on a dating app for a couple of minutes and see what's out there and just get out of that mindset. So go to the bathroom, lock the door, put the fan on and sit there for a minute. Dad's got to poop. Or if your kids are little, I like to say, daddy's got a duty.
I think overall, I agree with you. I don't agree with the percentage of people that are listening right now that they're on the can. I do think,
for everyone out there, no, send it to us on social. Send it to us. By the way, we have some really awesome comments in the YouTube. I don't know if you're looking at some of the episodes.
I did see that. It's hard
Dan,
to keep up.
you're a riot, I'm hearing. Oh, thank you very much.
What? You wrote that yourself.
I definitely did not. I am a riot. So I'm told.
Well, you're talking about swiping on the toilet right now, so interesting.
If you are listening to us right now,
there's a lot of crappy profiles.
Oh my, that was so lame. That's like the worst of all dad jokes. God. Oh my God. If you are listening to us right now, or at any point during the day, the 24-hour span that you are listening to this show, if you have swiped right on a dating app, or whatever, some of them aren't the swipe situation, but at least one person while sitting on the toilet, I want to hear from you. I don't care how you talk to us, how you get us. I'm telling you, we're going to get bombarded.
I'd be more curious to see if somebody actually swiped while on the toilet and it worked. So the genesis of, meaning that you're still dating that person. So the genesis of you guys, of this person deciding to go out on a date with you, happened on the toilet, and that it actually worked.
Every important decision in my life happens on the toilet. Like, I mean, where else do you do your best thinking?
Shower.
Dad's got to poop.
Shower.
Okay, fine. You can't swipe right in the shower unless you have a waterproof phone. That's dangerous.
Yeah, I just have my best thoughts in the shower.
Great. Yeah, well, maybe you should think about how more people are on toilets using social media.
40%. I mean, you're just making numbers up. That's okay.
Of course I am. But again, prove me wrong.
Well, we should put out a poll.
All right. You know what? That's a good idea. I don't have. Right? Yeah, we'll put that up on social. We'll do that on our Instagram, right? We can do a poll. We'll do it in the story. That we can do that.
Yeah,
absolutely, 100%. We're totally doing that. So yeah, don't email me. Don't bother. Just go on Instagram or go on Facebook or whatever, and prove me right, please. How many of you? And you can say swipe left, like, because people are indiscriminate. Like,
just swiping. Just are you swiping on the toilet? Yeah.
As we said several episodes ago, do you swipe with the same hand that you wipe? No. Remember, I had the thumb thing. I had swiper's thumb.
I do.
And remember. You swipe. You can't swipe and wipe with the same hand. It's just. I mean, it's terrible. That's life advice. That is life advice. Back to the point that I was making with all of that toilet talk is using mindfulness as a method of life and as a way of trying to better your existence and really be present, as we talk about all the time, and live in each moment has really helped me. And I do firmly believe you can tell when you're out on a date or when you're out with friends or whatever, and you're on your phone and you're looking around and you're distracted, like, you're not giving that person your all. You're not in that moment and totally present. And it's a struggle sometimes because there's so much around us and there's so many, different, it's like going to a casino now. Like everything's always blinking and shining and beeping.
Yeah.
And so it's hard. But if you can do that, it makes the process so much better. And Scott, we talked about this. And again, episode 5 with Nicole Ananda, I talked about this with her. Being present on dates allows a connection that feels closer than maybe otherwise. And that confuses people because you feel really connected to people you've just met. And that's where I feel in this case, Scott, going back to like this, that my motivation is a little different than what I feel you're giving me credit for. Yes, most people the year after they get divorced either don't date anyone because they're shell-shocked and they just like focus on their kids, which is admirable, or whore it up and make out with anyone who will make out with them during a pandemic, which I've heard people do. And that seems like a fun thing to do sometimes. I don't know. It's something I've heard. But my motivation is different. I'm not just doing it to like sow my oats. My oats have been sown. Like I don't have any oats left. I'm doing this because each individual instance is its own moment. And if that moment warrants further physical interaction or further intellectual, or that's what it is. It's not, I'm going out there to try and, notch bedposts. I don't care about that.
But by the way, I mean, you seem to think that I'm knocking you. All I'm saying is that, and it's great if you think that your experience is unique. You don't want to be like everybody else. I'm just telling you that there aren't a ton of people that are out there trying to put notches on their bedpost either. Like, ooh, it's early in the morning. Somebody's trying to reach me. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were looking at my face on that one because you are.
No. Could you hear that? Could
I heard the beep. Yeah, you got a text. Did they say something out loud?
There was a phone call coming in, so it came through my computer. Whoops.
Nah, it wasn't as loud as you think. But should we answer it?
No.
Can we bring them on?
No.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
No.
Okay.
So in any case, back to what I was saying is that the stuff that you are going through, no matter how you look at it, like it's unique to you. But I've said this for a really long time, way before you got separated and divorced, is that being present not only for dates, being present in life,
not just for dates. No, yeah.
Being present in life is paramount and critical, and especially if you're a parent, being present with your kids. Like, I'm not sure, there are times where you could be laying on the sofa with your kids and they're watching TV or whatever it might be, and you're doing some sort of multitasking. But I really like to be present as much as possible, especially because I now have the kids half the time. And right. So I need to make sure that half of the time is, just as good as possible. And so I believe in being present, not only when you're with somebody that you're dating or that you care for, you're growing a relationship with, but also with your kids or your friends or your work. Just being present makes everything a little bit better. I know it's not always so easy. That's all I'm saying. I'm not knocking you.
No, you bring up something that kind of hits close to home for me, no pun intended, with the kids. And like, doing this that we're doing for a while, like this is the first real work that I've done in quite some time. And certainly work that I care about in quite some time. And it's difficult to have that work-life balance. And that's something that we're going to talk about more on the site, certainly as we get into the new year and people start doing resolutions and, we're 2021 is going to be new, whatever. Hopefully it is. But that's something that we're going to really talk about is work-life balance, especially for people who are now working from home. And that line is a lot different than it used to be, because when you're at work, you're at work. When you're home. But now you're at work at home and your kids are at school at home. So that work-life balance is something that we'll talk about as we go on. But I do find myself sometimes when I have the kids, maybe taking that time for granted. And that's disappointing to me. I'm disappointed in myself. This weekend, though, was not one of those, and that's where I want to get to our last thing. Unless you have other texts and whatnot you want to get to, I want to get to sort of the
No,
last.
I think it's cool to talk about this. I mean, I agree. We'll continue. This is something we'll be talking about forever.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. Especially because it's easy to make fun of you about it, and you know, it seems to be what I'm best at.
Making fun of me is what you're best at. That's not gonna get you very far in life.
It's gonna get me $1 million when I have a podcast with Nicole Ananda that you're funding. Honestly, man, if we got rid of you and put her on here, come on. The things that she said were just. I'm gonna cut some of those up and put them on the. Oh man, people have to listen to that if you haven't.
I'm not disagreeing with the fact that she's great. If you got rid of me, you have nothing. But in any case,
I'm gonna make
just
you a t-shirt.
saying.
So this weekend, speaking of t-shirts, we made some gifts for people for the holidays coming up that look professional. I mean, the work that my kid does on the Cricut machine is just out of this world. We did that. We tried to film some Minecraft stuff for Max's YouTube channel. We wrote songs, like literally, like my kids writing songs and like doing it on the computer. I couldn't do some of the blog stuff because we share a computer for GarageBand, and it's like my kids are amazing. And being a part of that, I remember when we did Thanksgiving, I said what we were thankful for, and I said that like I'm thankful that my one kid has a sticker company that I can be a part of and a t-shirt company that I can be a part of. And my other kid is, trying to become a YouTube star, and I can help edit that and give advice and pointers and stuff like that. It's amazing. It's so rewarding to be a part of that. And the best thing that happened this weekend is that my youngest, who is 10 years old, said to me, "Can I write something for your site?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course you can. What do you want to write?" And he said, "Well, I was thinking like fun things you could do with your kids." And I was like, "That's a great idea." And he's like, "How many should I do? Should I do like 20?" I'm like, "Dude, no." I was like, "Do somewhere between 5 and 10." And he picked 8 fun things you can do with your kids. That we're going to post this. I don't know when, but it might be up even for people who are listening to this now if I can get it done. But this is awesome.
Yeah,
like,
that's great.
10 years old. Like, I'm just going to read one or two. I don't want to give all of them away, but can I just read one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Number 4, and he's doing this with his mother right now. So it's not just for dads. It's obviously for any single parent out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 4 on his list of 8 things to do, fun things to do with your kids, books. Kids need to read books to learn and grow. So make it a little bit more fun. Read the same book as your kid. Read it with them or separately. If you talk about a book with your kid, they could even want to read big books with you. There's no punctuation, so this is difficult to read right now. If you ever read a chapter book, if you read a chapter of a book every day, you give your kids a huge boost in school. Come on. Like,
yeah, that's great. He's right.
And this one, I'm going to give 2 of the 8. You go read the other 6 on the blog because, again, 10 years old, wise beyond his years. Number 5, blanket forts. Blanket forts. Well, to be real, everybody loves blanket forts. Make a big blanket fort in your living room. Then invite your kids to eat dinner and watch a movie. After that great night, you're just about the best dad in town.
Oh, that's awesome.
Our new best writer is a 10-year-old.
Well, I think not only do I think Max is amazing, I think that what's unique is his perspective as a 10-year-old. And I think that's important to us and to everyone who may have a 10-year-old or a soon to be 10-year-old in their lives. It's important to be able to think like them. And so to have voices, look, this is what we're doing. I mean, it's great that Max is doing this. And I think that's it's really cute. I also think it's a reason why we have, to your point, why we have so many experts is that, we're just bringing people together to help out as many people as possible. So it's another perspective, another opinion, and it's opinion from what maybe, your kid happens to be really smart and funny and creative. So it's no surprise that he's doing this. But a lot of kids have that um, creative thoughts, have those creative thoughts
Right.
in their mind, and would appreciate some of the stuff. So actually, this, who knows, this could be the best thing that is on the site.
It's the best thing on the site. And look, the thing about it is, as I read this to somebody yesterday, she said, I think this is your son telling you all of the things he wants to do with you. And it's not like we don't do stuff. Like I said, like we're building a YouTube channel and we're, playing FIFA and all these other things. But like, just think about that. Like, it's a cold day. It's the winter. You have your kids. Just get 3 chairs and a couple of blankets and sit under it with them and do nothing. Just hang out. It's the greatest night. You had a blanket. And it's so simple that like we won't think of that. I mean, I'll think, but like that's what the kids want. They just want to spend time. They want to read a book with you. They want to talk about, and it's so heartwarming that the thing that I'm spending my time on, talk about work-life balance, the thing that I'm spending the most time on is this right now, and that the kids want to be a part of it. And they want to, do ads for us. Max did a little ad for us, and Zoe asked if we needed any logo design. Actually, frankly, for people who've seen the little turtle, that's our sort of mascot, if you will, I drew that, and then Zoe digitized it and made it into a graphic. And so like a 13-year-old made a cartoon that is like our lifeblood right now. And it's like, it speaks to so much of what we're doing. It's awesome. It's just so great to involve your kids in things that you care about, especially when they're better than you at all of those things, which my kids are. Than me, not than you. I mean, they're clearly better than you, but they're also, I'll admit, better than me at everything.
Yeah. Zoe and Max are pretty awesome.
Do you have anything else today? We could talk about how great your kids are.
I always talk about how great my kids are. I don't need to give them a shout out I'm not competitive like you, Dan. I don't need to give them a shout out just because you're talking about how good your kids are, that I need to say, well, my kids are good too. Like, my kids are great. They're great.
Is that it?
They're thriving.
You got a smirk on your face. It's not even a smile. For a while, it was a smile. Now it's a smirk. So there's something in your head that you want to say that you're holding back. You got a call? Do you have to take that?
Yeah, dude, I'm busy, man. Like, my phone rings. I get texts all the time. Like, it just is what happens.
Are you saying I'm not busy? Do you understand? I had shit going on before.
Why do you do that? Why do you do that? Why is everything that I say a competition with you? It's not a competition with you. You saw a light flash. You knew that I was getting a text or a call, and you said, "What, are you busy?" And I told you, and you're like, "I'm busy too."
I heard a buzz. I didn't see it.
Right, but you're like, "I'm busy too," and I was like, "I never once said you weren't busy. I'm just saying that."
All I'm saying is I'm making time for you
in the morning,
mindfully.
I'm trying to stay
on you right now.
I'm trying to stay focused. I'm trying to stay focused. See, it's a perfect example of what we've been talking about this entire show, that it's not so easy, right, even when you're trying to stay present and focus, whether it's with your kid or your kid brother. It's not always easy to stay focused because to your point, there's a lot of things that are going around. And the reason why I was smirking is because I actually had a conversation this weekend about, and this is sort of just out there, but it's about mindfulness and how you feel about the current state of the state, just in general. And you were joking around about how I started dating before there were dating apps. I actually had a conversation this weekend, earlier than this weekend, whatever, about how I feel like I might have been born in the wrong decade.
Oh boy.
I just do. I just feel like I was probably meant to be born like.
All right,
I don't
Bugsy
know.
Siegel. What generation did you?
I don't know. I feel like I could have easily been born in. Like,
I could have been something.
20s.
See, yeah, I could have been somebody big. See, no,
I've
pinstripe suit and a hat.
Yes, the zoot suit.
You should have been born in the Roaring '20s.
Yeah. In the other Roaring '20s. In the other Roaring '20s. You know,
the 1820s.
No. In the 1920s. We're now in the 2020s. So I don't mean now. I should have been born now. Yeah, well, moving forward. I meant in the reverse. Yeah.
It was really the 20s. I was just messing with you. You really think that you should have been born in like?
Yeah, I really do. Because it's not the worst, because I just feel like I can thrive through difficult times.
Yeah, the level of tolerance for different people at that time in this country was just, off the charts. In that there wasn't any. It wasn't even on the charts.
I just think I could have had a big impact then.
Why don't you focus on having a big impact now?
I'm doing the best I can to have a big impact now. So you're right. I was just saying that was what I was smirking about.
Honestly, all right. If there was a generation, look, I might be out of my own time. I'm not saying that I'm fit in this world. Certainly, I thought for years, being serious for a second, I didn't, and I wanted no part of society. But man, the 20s would be like the last decade I would ever want to be a part of, ever. My God.
Yeah, I don't think that's surprising that anyone would listen to us and realize that you're disagreeing and disagreeing so emphatically with a thought that I would have with regards to where I could have been. I'm like, I think I should have been, born in the 20s. You're like, that's the worst. I would never, if I were to pick any decade, it would not be the 20s. You're an idiot.
Wait, you would want to be born in the 20s? So you would be like an adult in the 40s and 50s?
Yes.
Oh, that's even worse than I thought.
Nope.
You're not wearing suits. You're like a little baby wearing a suit. Yeah, by the 40s and 50s. Oh God, this is terrible.
I think there was a lot of things going on, and I think right now I just feel as though this is not a sign of me getting old. I think lots of younger people can relate to this too. I just think, to your point of what you said earlier, that there are a lot of because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Like I was reading something about somebody saying the simpler times even when we were growing up, like, we went out in the morning, we had to be home by dark, like we rode our bikes, we did whatever it was.
Racism was prevalent everywhere. We used to call people gay when we didn't like them, and no one batted
That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. Why do you want to take everything to a different?
I'm not saying what I'm saying is this generation that we are in charge of, the kids that are growing up now, are destroying the old stuff that we conventionally just were okay with. They're just like, what are you doing? This is not okay. Now, maybe it's an extreme with the cancel culture stuff, but man, you look back at some of these previous decades and it's just a mess.
But that's not what I was saying. All I was saying was it was just a simpler way. I'm not saying it was right or wrong. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying there was a simpler way that we had, we had 7 channels and, not 1,700
look how
channels.
red my face is getting. Look how red. Oh my God.
And 10 streaming services and the internet and social and everything. It's a lot it's very hard to be present. God, you're a psycho.
Do you have anything else today?
You are literally like a 10-year-old.
I can't have this conversation with you. I hope people are watching this because I just covered my face. I can't.
Now your hair's even poofier.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. You can't simpler times me. Oh God. Oh my God. That's another.
Not simpler times you. Why does everything need to be? Why do you take everything up to like?
You just said it was a simpler time.
It was a simpler time in what I was talking about. Those were simpler times. We had less.
I mean, you're simpler timesing our audience. You are now saying, "Oh, it was a simpler time." Yeah, guess what? Simple sucks. Simple is there's nothing good about being simple. You want to go back to the 1420s because it was a simpler time then?
I bet it wasn't.
Yeah, they throw you in the river if they thought you were a witch.
Oh my God, dude!
I don't know
they
if that
still
was
do stuff
like that.
They still do stuff like that today. It's
not okay.
I wasn't advocating for witchery.
We just need to end the show.
You're fired up for the week.
I had the second cup of coffee already.
That really gets you so fired up that I'm
3 hours
sleep. That we had 7 channels on TV instead of 1,700. We had no streaming service, so we used to use a VCR.
Mark Knopfler and your MTV or whatever. 60s. What is it? 57 channels and nothing on? Is that what you're going to start singing Dire Straits to end this? If I could play it, I would, but we're not allowed to do that. It was at a simpler time. We could have played that.
I think we need to start doing karaoke.
This show went 15 minutes long because you just simpler timed us.
Dude, that was like 3 minutes, and it only went longer because you freak out about the wrong things.
Nope. I said to you, I want to go back. For people who are listening on the toilet, go back and see when I said, what else do you got? And then we went through this whole smirk about a simpler time. was like 15. It felt like an hour ago. That was a simpler time. Before this episode started was a simpler time. What do you got?
Enjoy your sits on the toilet, buddy. Those
That's
are
how you're
simpler
ending it.
times for you.
Don't you kids first? Do I have
Yes,
to do your
of course.
tag?
Do I? No, you don't do my tag. Don't do my tag.
I'm handing it to you, and you keep telling me to go sit on the toilet. I might actually go head first into the toilet.
I hope people reach out to you. I think you need some calm. You can't drink more than 2 cups of coffee in the morning. All right.
I have changed my meds recently, by the way, so that could
okay.
Which
Well,
is fun.
yes, yeah. So it's a blast. All right, kids first.